I have these friends, Dan and Sheila. They're podcast hosts.
Welcome to Profiling Criminal Minds. I'm Dan.
And I'm Sheila.
And we are joined today by our very special guest, Criminal Minds executive producer and head writer, Breen Frazier.
What is up, guys? I just resuscitated myself from some spray-on fentanyl that I sprayed in my face by accident. But other than that, things couldn't be better. How are you doing?
That was a pretty harsh call out in your first episode. I'm not gonna...
No, it's fair. You guys are tough but fair. You always. That's why I love this podcast.
Okay, good.
What was the next fentanyl thing?
Yeah, we talked about fentanyl for a while there. I'm not going to disagree with that assessment.
And then I saw it on another show.
Oh yeah, no, it
was
on
really
Paradise.
weird.
She was watching Paradise. It was the next day.
Yeah.
Dan is absolutely correct. It is the new boogeyman. It is shorthand for, you'll probably see it even more in your favorite TV shows. It's just shorthand for they got knocked out. Yeah. So it makes zero sense.
No, bring back a rag soaked in chloroform. That's all we want.
There you go.
Rag soaked in chloroform. All right.
Yep.
So as suggested by you, we have put together some questions from the Criminal Minds fan community, and we're just going to pose them to you and see what you think. Let us know.
I can't wait.
All right. So first off, the big question that I know I've often wondered about and a lot of people asked is, the first person to ask it was Eloy89, and the question is, are we ever going to see the final two states, North Dakota and Hawaii?
Okay. We have to make the short answer is yes to North Dakota, probably not to Hawaii. We have to make the neighborhoods of Los Angeles look like anywhere America. So currently, or in the past couple seasons, we've been going to Altadena, and Altadena was one of the neighborhoods that was hit with the huge Southern California fires. So we have yet to figure out exactly how that's going to affect our location scouting. We might have to find some different places that we've never shot at before, which is why I think North Dakota could be on the table. Hawaii, in my opinion, Hawaii only looks like Hawaii. I just feel like you can't really fake the Los Angeles beaches for Hawaii. It just looks like what it is, which is a dirty Los Angeles beach. However, if the fan community would like to petition Disney to pay for us to go to Hawaii, you will have a lot of very happy crew members, some of whom might be a little late to call on day one of shooting, no doubt. But one other thing I just want to say, my wife wrote on a show, Ugly Betty, and she wrote the episode that took place in the Bahamas, and we got a free trip to go to the Bahamas. So I am all for free stuff provided by provided by our corporate overlords. So it's probably not going to happen unless Disney lets it happen, and when it does, we might not come back from Hawaii.
Is it too
late? Yes, but look what
it?
happened to NCIS Hawaii.
That's true.
There you go.
You don't want to stay in Hawaii.
That's true. My understanding is Lost, the TV show Lost, built the infrastructure, and that crew basically goes from Hawaii show to Hawaii show ever since Lost. Like it's the same. They went from Lost to Hawaii 5-0 to I think NCIS Hawaii with I think there was something in between. And they have good crews. It's not a deep crew.
Yeah.
Unlike Canada or it was Georgia, now it's moved again. You used to have like 3 or 4 complete crews that you could depend upon.
Right.
And Hawaii, I think there's only one.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the story of the original Magnum PI, which is they shut down Hawaii 5-0, and they said, we've got this giant infrastructure here. Let's just do another show right away here in Hawaii.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. Okay. And so it is too late, we're assuming, to end season 19 with a cliffhanger that's going to force everyone to go to Hawaii at the first episode of season 20? Blackmail them into it with narrative reasons?
I would give anything to have that happen. I would give anything to make that happen. But for right now, this is what I can tell you. Season 18 does not end that way. And there are no plans for season 19 to go to Hawaii, as much as I would love for it.
All right. We had to ask. Question 2.
Okay. So this is Snaffed. How has writing this show changed your views in life? Are you more aware of your surroundings? double checking the doors are locked, and or more wary of strangers, with all the research and writing for Criminal Minds?
Snaft, that is a great question. Thank you. The short answer again is yes. I absolutely am more aware. Invested in a good alarm system. Invested in a dog, which I am convinced is the best defense that you can have. And outdoor lighting. That's the other thing I would strongly recommend. What it hasn't done is cause me to lose sleep. It hasn't turned me against my neighbors or my fellow man, or maybe want to build a fortress up to protect my wife and kids. What we deal with is the 1% of the 1% of the 1% of the population. And we deal with it in such a creative way that I don't then go, oh my gosh, there could be a serial killer living next door to me. That's what the Nextdoor app is for, which I think, made fun of, in a good way in season 17.
Yeah.
And that kind of thinking is contagious. You can get sucked into that. I, for the most part, don't. I think because working with Jim Clemente, working with Jim Fitzgerald, our FBI profilers, I know how rare it is. And so I don't feel that the darkness is encroaching in my life personally. But what I do take very carefully, and I know Erica and Chris do as well, is what is it that we're putting out into the zeitgeist? Are we producing a show that's just saying, be scared all the time, don't trust your neighbors, stay inside? And I don't think we are. I think there are times where the show did that. But I think especially once the show got into its evolution phase, I don't think we created a show that was, for God's sakes, whatever you do, don't go outside of your house. And we all know that those kinds of shows exist.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Next up, That Click Kid asks, while there are brief references made to Reed's addiction in later seasons, it kind of ends abruptly in season 2. Did they always plan to just drop that storyline? Or did someone want to cut it because it was too serious for the show's content? Really what they're asking is, why didn't the team intervene to help Reed the way they did to help Strauss later on with her alcoholism?
Someone did request it to be cut, and that someone, with love and respect, was Matthew Gray Gubler. So, fun fact, the episode that I wrote from season 10, The Itch, which was about a guy who thought that there were bugs under his skin, yeah. There was a runner that Reed might have relapsed. And the reason he might have relapsed is because at the end of season 9, he was shot and he was put on morphine. He was on a morphine drip to recover from, and that awakened the addiction monster inside of him, and he was acting, somewhat erratically and was confronted by it. And Gubler and I sat down, and you guys know I love Matthew Gray Gubler. There's nothing I won't do for that guy. We've sat behind monitors together. We've giggled over, oh my God, we're not going to get this shot that, for something I've written that he's directed. He was with me every step of the way with the Aubrey Plaza trilogy. I mean, he and I have a shorthand that very few creators get to have. So when he came to me and he said, I have concerns about this story, I listened. I listened because he deserves that respect. And what Goobs told me was, in season 2, they didn't know what the show was going to become. They had no idea the enormous success that it was going to be. And ever since season 2, which is when the Super Bowl episode happened, when it beat Lost in the ratings, when it started to become a top 10 hit on the regular, Matthew was stopped in airports, at hotels, in restaurants, just on the street, and people would go, I'm so concerned for Dr. Reed. I'm so concerned. Now, it could have been about the addiction. It could have been about, the fact that he was tortured. It could have been about, Maeve dying. There's just that character was everybody's favorite younger brother, adorable toe-headed son, or non-threatening boyfriend. And so he was approached as a result. He was approached a lot with, I'm really worried about your character. And so he was worried that a story about his addiction would stir up a fan reaction that wasn't justified, especially because the story didn't go anywhere. Reed did not relapse. He was perfectly fine. Nothing bad happened to him. So he said, since the story isn't going anywhere, since it ends with this episode, I just I'm concerned about the ripple effect. And I listened to that. I really did, because I mean, I listen, if it were AJ, if it were Aisha, if it were Joe, I would listen to any of them. But because it was Goobler, and because I've written so many Reed episodes and I take his character so close to heart, if he said I don't feel comfortable with it, I'm going to honor that. I'm going to honor that. And so that's why the storyline kind of died. But there are other parts of the character that we did follow up on, like the headaches. The headaches led to the Maeve story, and we never had a plan for the headaches until I just felt like we got to do something about those headaches. So it's a little bit of a feast or famine in terms of what it is that we want to revisit with the characters. But the one thing that we always try to do is give the actors a heads up. We're going into this direction. Are you comfortable going there? And we did that for those of you who watched the most recent episode as of this recording, the most recent episode, which ends very dramatically with JJ and Will. The first person that we talked to about that was AJ. Right. Because, Erica, the way I feel about Reed is how Erica feels about Will and JJ. She has always wanted to portray that there's at least one couple that was healthy, that was good together, that could take on the darkness and survive and be okay. And so to take away, JJ's support system, we needed to see what AJ felt about it. And AJ said, I will absolutely go there. I think that's exciting. I think it's different side. We're going to see different sides of JJ all season. And it's going to be, I think she has a very powerful story this season. So okay. That's again the long answer to a simple question. But it was a long considered decision. That's the best way I can put it.
All right. Well, thank you for that one. Next up, sure. You've actually segued us perfectly into the next question without realizing it.
Oh, good.
Okay, Tort Fiend. Who in the world thought it was a good idea to have JJ profess her love for Reed? It was such a good friendship between the two of them, and this interaction just crippled that. It was so disappointing.
Yeah, that was me. That
was your fault.
Yeah, blame me. Send your hate mail to me. Breen, Frazier, care of profiling criminal minds. They'll make sure I get it. Okay, so here's the story behind that. And again, let me state that Erica Messer has said to me, of the 3 creative decisions I wish I could take back, that storyline is one of them. So you're in. What was the name of the letter writer?
Tort Fiend.
Tort Fiend.
Tort Fiend. You are in good company. So that was the end of season 13, I believe.
14, I think.
Season 14. Thank you. Sorry, season 14. That's right. Season 14. So what happened was, wait, hang on. I'm trying to think. Yes. So what happened was, at that point in the season, we were on the bubble. And that is a technical term, meaning that the show could be canceled. We didn't think it was going to be canceled, but there was a risk that it could be canceled. Sherlock, the CBS version, was nipping at our heels. And there were new executives at CBS. And you are protected at the network by your executives. Once the executive suite changes, which is inevitable, especially if you've been on the air for 15 years, you don't have the protectors that you used to have. So we didn't have people who loved the show the way the first round and even second round of CBS executives loved the show. It's not that they hated the show. It's just we weren't their baby. Other shows were their baby. So we wanted to do something for that season finale that made us uncancelable. And in the writer's room, I remembered saying, what if in this hostage scenario where Reed and JJ are held captive, JJ has to confess her love for Reed. And it would be so powerful, and it would drive the fans so crazy that there's no way they could cancel us without getting, exactly. All, what Tort Fiend is complaining about, he would have been complaining about, or she would have been complaining about, or they would have been complaining about because the show had been canceled, because we left Tort Fiend dangling. So it was a completely mercenary decision. And remember what I said about just a few seconds ago about we go to the actors? We went to AJ, we went to Goobs, and they both said, okay, I get it. And because it was such a special situation, and we had a plan for dealing with the fallout in the second half of the second part of that season. They trusted us. But I will say the unsung hero of that episode was Erica Meredith, who wrote that episode and who had to make the scenes as real and lived in as possible. And then in the next season, the new love interest comes into his life. Rachel Lee Cook shows up and Reed's like, oh, well. And JJ's like, oh, well. And it feels like a cheat to the audience that has invested in Reed and JJ, not as potential love interests, but as friends. And I think that whether it's Reed JJ, whether it's Morgan Garcia, Alves Garcia, we present variations on men and women can be friends. It's not always healthy, as you guys have dinged us on, but at least we present it. And so to cross that line, I think felt like a knife in the back to some of the fans, and I will own that 100%.
Okay. Well, I mean, you heard us talking in the first episode of the season about how much we cherish Penelope and Luke and how great that you guys read their relationship. So we're definitely on board for that. Now, here is a fun behind the scene things that you probably don't know. That is the episode most directly responsible for Profiling Criminal Minds starting.
No way.
I was 5 seasons behind in my reviews. I was just not caught up. I got busy making a movie and I didn't have a chance to catch up with my reviews. And so she calls me after the season 14 finale and is like, you will not believe what they just did to these characters. I feel so betrayed. It is a show should never betray its characters and audience. And she is so vitriolic about it. I'm like, oh my God, okay, I'll get caught up. And then I said, really, we should just be doing these conversations as a podcast.
And you were right.
And that's how it happened. Literally.
Wait, so Sheila, are you secretly Tort Fiend? Are you actually Tort Fiend? Did you sneak
no,
this in?
I'm not. No, I'm looking at some of these questions and going, okay, there are things that we've had answers for ourselves, sort of. Right.
I get it.
But not that one that we've kind of been able to figure out and answer kind of for ourselves. But I'm looking at some of these and going, yeah, we've never asked some of these questions, but we've thought them.
Oh, we thought them.
Good. All right, let's bring it all out.
So,
let's get it all out in the open. Dear Breen, why are you so stupid? Love.
But yeah, in a sense, it's a very important episode for us. So there you go. All right. Next up, a live addendum asks, why did you guys move to showing the killer rather than structuring it as a mystery? And they literally say here, they want to figure it out with the team and not have the surprise ruined. And they feel the team feels smarter when you have to guess yourself.
Right. That is another hotly debated topic in the writer's room. And a lot of times it's one of the first things that we try to figure out when we're breaking the story, which is when do we see the unsub? Is this a straight, mystery that the team is figuring out, or because maybe we can get a really good guest star, we want to see their face. I do think that we probably got away from the, face down murderer, the face down unsub, probably around season 6 or 7 was when we sort of just abandoned it. And part of it was I think we felt that we had done it so many times, it stopped being a fun thing for the audience to play along with. And also what you could get from the storyline, what you could get from the unsub storyline, I mean, what you could learn about them, in their relationship with their wife and who they were when they were killing versus who they were when they were showing up at work, that felt like more interesting drama to us overall. It reached its zenith, I would argue, in the form of Zach Gilford as Elias Voigt. That is the best version of let's show the unsub up front, because he could have a story that goes for 10 episodes with his wife and kids that we knew was going to be super compelling. I think that we have a pretty good balance of when to show the unsub, when not to show the unsub. We certainly learned from episode 1703, which was the masked killer who would turn on the gas.
Yeah.
That mask was so creepy. And if you've seen the trailers for upcoming episodes this season, we go back to a different form, but a mask. And there's something about a guy in a mask that really gets under your skin. I mean, it's just really, and so this is a way for us to kind of have our cake and eat it too, in a way, for us to show the unsub without showing his face. But not seeing the unsub until the team saw him, or until the profile filled in ideas about him, what he looked like, what his physical type was, etc., I think was a staple of the show early on. And I think it's what made the show unique and visually different, because we weren't showing you his face. It was, of course, also, taken from Seven. You don't see John Doe's face until Kevin Spacey, turns himself in. But as you guys know, and as I've told you before, every episode in some version comes down to Silence of the Lambs or Seven. And if it's Silence of the Lambs, you're going to see Buffalo Bill. If it's Seven, you're not going to see John Doe until he's in police custody. So it is a tightrope, but it's one that we just feel like we can't do it all the time. Let's have fun with it when we can.
Okay.
At least it's not Columbo.
There you go.
There,
where we just follow the killer the whole time.
Some people love that, though. Some people love that.
Oh, well, no.
I love it on Columbo, but
No, and
Minds,
Elsbeth is finally doing it again.
Yeah.
Elsbeth.
Yeah.
But doing
Another
it on Criminal
CBS
Minds
show.
with you just following the criminal around and only having like the team show up very much in the periphery of the episode, there would be a very daring change for you guys.
And
yes,
we don't
would.
want it. We don't want it. Obviously, we don't want it.
All right.
Based on these questions.
Next question.
Okay, the next question. What was your favorite episode that you wrote? And your favorite, it's two parts, right? And then your favorite episode that you didn't write.
Oh, okay. My favorite episode that I wrote is Mr. Scratch. I just feel like I don't think I'll ever top that in terms of what we were able to accomplish. In 8 days with this script, and with Matthew going, okay, this is the budget. This is what I can. This is what I can do. This is what I can't do. This is what I can show. This is what I can hide. And I just feel like between Thomas being fearless in his performance at the end, I'm very, very proud of how all the elements of that episode came together so well. I have a lot of affection for Date Night because it was the last episode that I wrote, and when we went to that roller skating rink and the crew guys were having the time of their lives on the roller skating rink, it was just there was a joy there that doesn't come around a lot on the Criminal Minds stages. We laugh and we have fun, but you saw a bunch of grips turn into little kids at the roller skating rink, and so I have to say that has nothing to do with the quality of the episode. It's just a fond memory that I have. The one that I didn't write, North Mammon, I think, is an excellent episode. That's the one with the three girls.
Yeah,
Sheila's looking at me funny. That's what the three girls like. Okay.
Oh no,
okay.
It just wasn't one of my favorite. I'll tell you.
I understand.
Okay.
Riding the Lightning is a classic. There we go. I knew I'd get you back. I knew I'd get you back with that one. 100, because it was so iconic. I mean, my initial is on that, but I didn't. That was really Ed and Erica, who really took that over the finish line. And then in Evolution, I really it's all been of a piece, so I can't say like I really love this episode. I really like that episode. I just am proud of the way we took the structure of Criminal Mind and advanced it. It's sort of all of a piece with Evolution. And I've said to you guys before, I know a lot of you don't like season 17. That's on me. That you can everything you don't like about season 17, put it in the same category as JJ saying to Reed, I love you. But what we learned from season 17, we have put in season 18, and I think that you guys are already feeling it. Like there's just the right amount of a beginning, middle, and end to an episode with character arcs that are continuing over 10 episodes. Mm-hmm. And that I just feel like we are so in the pocket right now between doing that and now what we're doing in season 19 of giving you a really, really interesting ongoing storyline that is character driven. that is character driven, that is not based on, another serial killer is hunting a member of the team. We have done that so many times. We cannot do it again. We don't want to do it again. But, to deal with the fallout of Will's death, to deal with, oh my God, what did Voight just call Rossi? Did I hear that right? And what that means for these characters, it's coming from an honest emotional place. And not only do we love it as writers, the actors love it. They are flipping over themselves over the stuff that they get to play.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the answer is your favorite episode is the next episode.
Okay, sure.
Because it sounds like you're really excited about what you're doing next year.
I am.
Okay. All right. I know you can't tease us any further.
Can I say something? Can I say something about that actually?
Of course,
and you can edit it out. And tell me if I've said this before on this podcast, guys. I was severely burned out at the end of season 15. I mean, I was really. I did. Yeah. Okay. And so to come back to this show and find a new life and a new version of it in a way, I'm super happy. So anyway, cut that part out since I've already said it.
No, I don't think we should cut it out because it really does show how excited you are and how excited we should be. So no, we're probably not going to cut that out.
All right. Fair enough.
All right. Okay, here's a question that I found really interesting from some marsupial, which is how specific are you in the writing team and at the script stage of finding funny moments in the episode? So they see a lot of like asides and jokes in the episode, but they're very small things and they usually have to do with editing and facial expressions. They talk about how in season 13, episode 3, Blue Angel, Penelope talks about someone's whole package being removed. And so they cut to Spencer for a reaction shot to that. And it's a very funny moment. But it's like, Are you guys thinking about that at the script stage or does that happen later on?
It's both. Where it doesn't happen is at the outline stage. The outline stage is just this beat leads to this beat leads to this beat. It's a blueprint at best. Mm-hmm. It's almost like traffic cop, instructions. At the script, funny stuff comes in and out based on if it seems appropriate, if it makes sense. I'd say we always try to give Kirsten, some sort of sauce to put on the lines. For Padgett and Paula Tompkins, that relationship is just going to be killer. So you want to write towards the funny of that because these are two improv comedians who can take a ridiculous situation and elevate the humor in it. Joe, that kind of humor that we write for him is more of the wry, dry commentary. And then the rest of the characters are sort of all over the place. Obviously, we couldn't write funny for Hotch because his character was not that, which, there are the few times when Thomas would do something, like I think he fist bumped Reed on the jet once, and you just went like your mouth dropped open because, oh my God, you saw Hotch, have a nice moment. So that brings us to stage 3, which is what are they doing on the set, on the stages, on location? How are the actors reacting? And then sometimes they throw in their own stuff. And anytime they want to do that, it almost always gets into the episode. Kirsten, I said, we write lines that have a Garcia sauce on it. Kirsten then takes it and spreads it around and makes it even more saucy. And sometimes we have to go like, no, not that much. And she's like, got it. And she pulls it back. But that's her process, which is, and we let her do that because not only is she Garcia, but also she has so much exposition that she's got to memorize and then spout back, that if it helps her to have a little Garcia commentary on it and it cements it in her brain, great. Like no issues with us whatsoever. But we're with the Reed line, in particular, that was a Googler choice on the day. We did not script that. But it made sense. It made sense for the character, and it was a nice moment. I remember in the second episode I ever wrote, Pleasure is My Business, there's a scene where they meet with Nora Dunn as a former call girl, now turned real estate agent. Mm-hmm. And she says, like, well, why don't you come in, we'll have some cookies. And Reed's like, yeah, I could go for some cookies. Like he doesn't even, he just does a like look away and like nod. And that's just him. That is just what he brings to, he brings to every performance some little thing that always elevates it. And now in Evolution, I see it in Zach. Like Zach there's always something going on sometimes it's a body language thing, sometimes it's a pause he takes, sometimes it's a look, sometimes it's a snort, or he'll twist the line. He gets to do that because he's the team's joker. He gets to be some people just want to watch the world burn, and that's very much in his character, at least for 16 and 17. I'd say RJ and Adam are definitely finding that rhythm as well. Adam, of course, has always had it. He's so just kind of genuinely winning. He knows how to gain your confidence as an actor, like whether he's talking and trying to guide you through something or whether he's listening. There's just a warmth to him that is naturally not funny, but it's just engaging. And then when he's with Kirsten, he always, like, she brings it to this level and then he has to react even higher than her. And so a line that wasn't written, a line that's written like, oh, come on. Suddenly when he's reacting to Kirsten, becomes like, oh, God, and he's like, doing the throwing up his hands and shaking his head. But that's because he's being a good scene partner. And that's what Kirsten brings out of him. So it is a process that starts at the script, but then gets refined on set and then refined even further in the editing room.
Okay. All right. Next up, we have some anonymous questions. People who didn't want their names on these.
All right.
Okay. So you haven't listened yet to our rant about Steinman, but
okay. But this isn't really related. It's just making it.
It's sort of related. But the question is, can we expect to see more team moments like the ending of the episode where they sing Piano Man?
Team bonding.
Team bonding moment, Piano Man. If not, can we have more in the next season? I would assume, please, because he says all they do is suffer.
That's true. Anonymous question writer, you are absolutely right. I think that season 18 has the most character work of any of the seasons that we've ever done. Just those, I'm not saying it's team bonding as much as it's let's have a private conversation about what you're going through and you can open up to me, which the network version of the show didn't have for a lot of reasons. It was so interesting that in your commentary on the premiere guys of season 18, that you said like, oh, there's no middle victim. That gives them more time to tell, to have personal beats or to tell a different kind of story. And you are absolutely right. I think that middle victim, that act 2 murder, act 3 murder, it's real estate that then robs from the characters that you really care about. And so we have we've really leaned into what Rossi has going on is important. One of the scenes that I did get to do a pass on was a scene where Rossi and Tara are talking about the fact that he's seeing void, he's hallucinating. And so you're going to find more of those moments where he can't talk and she just holds his hand in this season than even in season 17 or 16. And that's the type of stuff that we love to do as writers. We really, really, really love it. So will there be team bonding? I mean, there was a little bit, I think, at the beginning of season 17 when they were having a party, and at the end of season 17 when they were having a party. Season 18, there's nothing like that, but you will feel the inner lives of the characters more. And I just want to tease the Gemily fans and say, there is a Gemily scene that is written just for you. I promise we're not making fun of you. It's a scene that I am peeing my pants excited for the Gemily fans to watch this and scream at their television in a good way.
Okay.
Oh, that's fantastic.
But you are seen and you are heard.
Okay. All right, next up. Who is the guest actor you've most enjoyed working with? And have you ever written a guest role specifically for an actor?
That's an easy one because the answer is the same. Aubrey Plaza. Goobler said to me she wants to be on the show. They had worked together in an independent movie. They are just like, they are the same level of goofy energy. After you call cut, like they just have that vibe. And I was like, oh my God, who wouldn't want to write for Aubrey Plaza? And of course, this was, her star was on the rise, but it hadn't blown up with White Lotus yet. And so when I wrote Entropy, she has such a specific voice that it was very easy for me to get that dialogue down. I heard her probably more clearly than any character, certainly any unsub that I've ever had to write. And then I think Date Night was, a nice send off for her character, and not just because I think we dimensionalized her, so she wasn't just a femme fatale. She was actually a very wounded woman. But I also think it brought out sides of Reed that we had never seen before. See, in my humble opinion, different writers read different ways, and in my opinion, Reed's a man. Like Reed is a man, and he has sexual urges. God damn it! And so I'm gonna write to that, and he's not going to be Doogie Howser. He's not going to be like the guy who just watches Doctor Who and and nerds out and tells you I just wanted to put that character on its feet and have him stand up to a person who was his intellectual and sexual equal. And because it's Aubrey, I knew that there would be sparks between each other. They didn't have to say that they loved each other, that they wanted each other. It was more powerful that they didn't say it. So that is what I really loved about Aubrey. I loved Bodie Elfman, who played Mr. Scratch. He was a kind, genuine person. We'd be talking about his kids, and then they'd say cut, and then he'd show up and he'd grin at the camera, and you'd be like, oh my God, that's the scariest man I've ever seen. So Bodie was a joy. And those are probably the top two in terms of the ones that I've written for. But I mean, Tim Curry was amazing. I didn't write for him, but Tim Curry was amazing. I'm trying to think of the other. Frankie Muniz was good. David Carradine, of course, is all time. Again, I just am, as somebody who was a fan of the show at that point, watching that performance. Actors love to play the bad guy. Guys, they love it. They really enjoy it. And I think they get to work out some stuff that they don't get to work out in real life. And the best ones embrace it. They really do.
Okay. I'm going to add a corollary to their question that they didn't ask.
Okay.
And if you don't want to give us a name, that's fine. But have you ever written something for an actor that you didn't end up getting to use? That you didn't get the actor you wanted?
Oh, I see. Yes, the script Unknown Subject, which was about the Piano Man rapist, who the Dina Meyer from Starship Troopers thinks that she's found that guy in the bar, and she
Death in the Maiden episode.
Yes, exactly. That script went to a lot of actresses, and I thought it was a really juicy role, and I thought that we would get somebody amazing. Dina actually was perfect for it. She really, she was excellent in that role. But it came back as a rejection so many times that I was like, did I write it wrong? Did I not? Is there some emotional depth? Is there something? I thought I wrote an episode about a woman who was like I was saying with Aubrey, an episode about a woman who was really wounded and was going to go to this terrible extreme to get the justice that she thought she deserved. And because offer after offer got rejected, I looked at it and was just like, is there something I'm missing? Is there a humanity to this character that's not there? Is it too dark? Sometimes actors don't want to go that dark. They'll twirl the mustache, but they don't want to go as dark as the guy, the psychiatrist in Happiness, who's actually a pedophile. If you remember that lovely character, and we sometimes have roles that are that dark. So I went back to Erica. I was like, what do you think? She's like, no, the part is good. The script is good. It's just, you never know. You just can't predict these things. And so when we got Dina, I couldn't have been happier because she just crushed it.
Okay, so now we've got our last anonymous question. Were there ever any other spin-offs planned, and is anyone considering another one?
Oh man. Yes, other spin-offs were planned. I can't talk about what those were because those ideas are still active in Erica's mind. When you really commit to what if we did a spinoff about X, it's even when they say no, there's a part of you that's like, someday I'm going to go back to that and I'm going to make it work. The issue, and are there spinoffs planned in the future? The answer to that is also a very firm yes. in the world where every show has to be based on some pre-existing intellectual property, it's driving me a little crazy that we haven't been able to spin off the show. In for Paramount Plus, I mean, they know that we want it. They know that we have ideas. And fingers crossed, we will make it happen. But we haven't been able to make it happen yet in the new streaming world.
Okay.
And then this is my addendum to that.
All right.
And it is not another question. It is just so long as it's not beyond borders, like we're fine.
I can't promise that, but no.
Y'all know how much I hate that show.
We do.
It's very much on the record. Yes.
Your dissent has been registered.
Okay. Seriously though, thank you so much for doing this. Do you have any final thoughts you'd like to say to the fans who sent in questions?
Let me know how you guys feel about season 18, because last time I talked about it with you guys on this podcast, I had this vibe that we were doing some really good stuff, but looking at it backwards now, I just like, I think this is like the best we've done, certainly of the evolution, and I would put it up there with the best. I'm saying runs with the best runs of Criminal Minds. Season 5, 1 through 10, right? That was a classic run of episodes, and I would put season 18 on the shelf with that run of episodes.
Wow.
And then I think season 19 is really just all I can tell you is Paramount and Disney are very happy. They're very happy with what we're doing creatively. They trust us. They ask smart questions, but they get it. And I'm not giving it away, but there's a shot in the trailer of spiders coming out of a guy's mouth, and when you see the context of that, you're just going to be like, whoa! Like that alone is going to be, I think, worth the price of admission, or at least a subscription to Paramount Plus.
Okay.
Well, we have our subscription, so
we are very much so.
Yes, or Disney Plus if you're overseas.
We have
correct?
both.
Exactly.
Yeah, both.
We have both.
Okay.
You have both. We want to thank you so much for doing this, Breen. As always, this is huge. If the fans have more questions, hopefully you'll consider doing this again later.
I would love it.
Okay, so that's an official request from Breen Frazier for more questions from the fans.
Absolutely.
Yes, and for us, thanks for watching as always. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, drop them in the profilingcriminalminds@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. If you're listening on an app podcast or watching on YouTube, hi, thanks. Rate, review, subscribe. That's how people find out about the show. We'll be back here for episode 3, which by all accounts is going to absolutely wreck us.
Yes.
On Friday. But until then, I'll say that's right. Au revoir.
And have a good week.